Layoffs at newspapers may not be a surprising headline, but what might surprise you is that it hasn't appeared to affect the money that newspaper executives are taking home. So Press Progress put out a great story detailing how Canadian newspaper executives keep on making more money while turning around and laying off journalists. Last month's blockbuster deal between Post Media and Torstar saw two of Canada's biggest media conglomerates swap 41 newspapers and immediately liquidate most of their assets, resulting in nearly 250 media job losses. According to Post Media's latest update to shareholders, published only 5 days before the company announced its deal with Torstar, top Post Media executives paid themselves a whopping $5.35 million in 2017. That's up 33% from 3.9 in 2016. So, as you can see from the graph, quoting the Press Progress story, since 2013, Post Media executives received a total of about $20.2 million in total compensation during the last 5 years of austerity, with 2017 representing the biggest payout yet. Now, while the executives keep on making more money, unionized employees at the Post Media-owned Vancouver Sun and the province actually took a voluntary pay cut last spring in a bid to save their colleagues' jobs. Now, Mackenzie Gray, who is an associate producer for CTV's political show Question Period, posted this clip of Post Media president and CEO Paul Godfrey discussing why he deserves over $1 million salary, and this on the same day that 291 journalists lost their jobs, with 26 communities losing their local paper.
I'm an experienced executive. There are very few in the newspaper business. If I walked out the door tomorrow, whoever they hire would probably have to pay more.
Now, to me, this is a broken system, and if the newspaper industry is going to die regardless, then these executives shouldn't be making this sort of money in the dying years of the business, and the business is dying. For example, looking at data from the Public Policy Forum, newspaper classifieds used to bring in a ton of revenue for Canadian newspapers, but once Kijiji launched in 2005, classifieds went from bringing in $875 million to $119 million in 2015, and the number continues to trend down. And when you combine that with the decline in newspaper ad revenue worldwide, you can understand why the newspaper business, especially local, has become a disaster, with profits continuing to drop. Yet despite the drop in revenue and operating profit, executives keep on giving themselves raises. And it's this mentality of the system that we all just accept. Well, they're in charge, so they deserve to make millions. Except they had to fire people to stay afloat because their business model sucks. So you shouldn't get to be a brilliant executive making over $1 million a year because you fire people. Now, this leads to a bigger discussion of wealth inequality in Canada, and a topic that a 2014 Broadbent Institute study went into. And the study showed that Canadians are aware that income inequality exists, with Canadians thinking the wealthiest 20% of people control 55.5% of the wealth. But in reality, the wealthiest 20% of people actually control 67.4% of the wealth, with the poorest 20% not controlling any wealth at all, and in fact are in debt. Now, believe it or not, even with this amount of wealth inequality, many politicians will try and convince you that it's not the government's job to get involved, and that the market will figure itself out. But in fact, Canadians are supportive of progressive policies that could help reduce inequality. And the top of that list is 84% of people strongly supporting or somewhat supporting that corporate executive bonuses should be tied to the performance of the company. And there's also massive support for raising taxes on the highest income earners and on corporations. So to summarize here, much like the US, Canadian executives keep on making more money while they keep laying off employees and keeping wages low. And that represents a wealth gap that Canadians are aware of, but not aware of how bad it really is. And the solution to that is progressive policy that has widespread support among Canadians. Now, all we have to do as citizens is push our representatives to enact these policies. So basically, get involved.